What if I told you there is a place on Earth where time completely stopped, where an entire city was abandoned in just a few hours, and where even today, decades later, something invisible still lingers in the air, waiting? This is not a movie. This is not fiction. This is Chernobyl, April 26, 1986. A quiet night in the Soviet Union. Deep inside a nuclear power plant near the small city of Pripyat, engineers were preparing to run a safety test. It was supposed to be routine, something they had done before. The goal was simple: to find out if the reactor could still generate power for a short time after a shutdown. But what they didn't realize was that the reactor they were working on had a fatal design flaw, a flaw that, under the wrong conditions, could turn a simple test into a catastrophe. As the test began, operators started reducing power levels, but something went wrong. The reactor became unstable. Instead of stopping, the situation began slipping out of control. Control rods were inserted to stabilize the reactor, but instead of calming it, they made it worse. In a matter of seconds, power surged uncontrollably. At exactly 1:23 a.m., Reactor No. 4 exploded. A massive blast tore through the building, launching a 1,000-ton concrete and steel lid into the air like it weighed nothing. The night sky lit up with fire, pieces of radioactive graphite scattered everywhere. But here's what makes this even more terrifying. No one immediately understood what had happened. Workers inside the plant were confused. Some believed the reactor was still intact. They walked through the ruins, completely unaware they were being exposed to lethal radiation levels. Some of them would receive doses thousands of times higher than what a human body can survive. Just a few kilometers away, the city of Pripyat slept peacefully. It was home to nearly 50,000 people, families, children, workers, all living normal lives. That morning, they woke up like any other day. Kids went outside to play. People opened their windows. They watched a strange glow in the distance, a beautiful but deadly light rising from the reactor. Some even stood on a bridge, watching the fire. That bridge would later become known as the Bridge of Death. Many who stood there that night never lived long after. Meanwhile, firefighters rushed to the scene. They arrived within minutes, with no protective suits, no knowledge of radiation, no warning. To them, it was just a fire. They climbed onto the burning reactor, stepping on radioactive debris, picking up pieces of graphite with their bare hands. They fought the flames for hours, but the real enemy wasn't the fire. It was the radiation, invisible, silent, destroying their bodies from the inside. Within days, many of those firefighters began to feel sick, nausea, vomiting, severe burns. Their skin turned red, then black. Some lost consciousness. Others experienced something even more horrifying. Their bodies began to break down at a cellular level. These men became some of the first victims of acute radiation syndrome. And yet, without them, the disaster could have been far worse. Back in Pripyat, life continued as if nothing had happened. No alarms, no evacuation. For nearly 36 hours, people were left exposed to radiation. Finally, the authorities made a decision: evacuation. Buses arrived in long lines. Residents were told to pack only essentials. Documents, some food and clothing. You will return in a few days. But that was a lie. They never came back. People left everything behind: toys, family photos, pets, entire lives, abandoned in a matter of hours. Pripyat became a ghost city, empty buildings, silent streets, time frozen forever. But the disaster didn't end there. The explosion released a massive cloud of radioactive material into the atmosphere. Wind carried it across Ukraine, Belarus, Russia, and into Europe. Countries hundreds of kilometers away began detecting radiation. At first, the Soviet Union tried to hide the truth, but it was impossible. Sweden detected unusually high radiation levels, And that's when the world realized something terrible had happened. The scale of the disaster was beyond anything seen before. To contain the damage, thousands of workers were sent to the site. They were called liquidators, soldiers, engineers, miners. Many of them had no real protection. They were sent to clean up radioactive debris, to dig tunnels under the reactor, to build a massive concrete structure known as the sarcophagus. Some worked for just minutes, because longer exposure meant certain death. Robots sent to clean the roof failed, destroyed by radiation, so humans replaced them. Men ran across the rooftop, shoveling radioactive material off the edge, with only seconds before they had to escape. Many of them paid with their lives, and still, the danger wasn't over. There was a real fear that the molten nuclear core could melt through the ground and reach water supplies, causing an even larger explosion. Miners were sent underground, digging a tunnel beneath the reactor in extreme heat with no proper ventilation. They worked in conditions that seemed impossible, but they succeeded. Over time, the immediate crisis was contained, but the damage was permanent. Large areas became uninhabitable. Forests turned red from radiation, later called the Red Forest. Animals died, land was poisoned, and the long-term effects are still being studied today. Thousands of people developed cancer. Children were born with health problems. Entire communities were affected. Even now, there is debate about how many truly died because of Chernobyl. Some say thousands, others say hundreds of thousands. The truth may never be fully known. Today, the Chernobyl exclusion zone still exists, a 30-kilometer area where human life is limited, but something unexpected happened. Nature returned. Without humans, wildlife began to thrive. Wolves, deer, even rare species living in a place once considered dead. It's one of the strangest contradictions. A deadly zone that became a refuge for animals. Yet the radiation remains, invisible, silent, still affecting everything. In 2016, a new massive steel structure was placed over the reactor, designed to contain the radiation for decades to come. But even that is not a permanent solution, because Chernobyl is not just a disaster of the past. It is a warning, a reminder of how powerful and how dangerous human technology can be. All it took was one mistake, one test gone wrong, and an entire city disappeared. Even today, if you walk through Pripyat, you'll see classrooms with books still on desks, amusement parks that never opened, rusting buildings slowly being reclaimed by nature. It feels like the world ended there, but in reality, it was just the beginning of something we still don't fully understand. Chernobyl changed the world. It changed how we see nuclear energy, how we understand risk, how fragile everything really is. And maybe the most chilling part of all is that it could happen again, because history has shown us that even the smallest error in the wrong place at the wrong time can leave a scar that lasts forever. And Chernobyl is one of those scars.